Hi guys, it's Petrina, your go-to girl for learning how to make fit work in a crazy busy world. And today's video is going to be a follow-up to last week's where I reviewed 23andMe. And in this one, I'm going to show you how to use Promethease, which is a very cool $5 tool that will dig deep into your raw data that you got from a 23andMe test or wherever you had your DNA tested and give you all sorts of really cool medical info based on your DNA data. Now, before I take you in the platform, I want to start off with a big fat disclaimer, so pay attention. Go on and put your listening ears on, people. The information you get on Promethease is not, I repeat, not a medical diagnosis, so don't use it as such. Note that just because you have an increased risk for something doesn't mean you're gonna get that something. So calm the down. Chillax, people. Capiche? Now, having gotten that out of the way, let's go on in and I'll give you a tour. Alright, so here we are on the Promethease platform. This is what you're going to see after you pay your $5, you check all the boxes they give you for legal approvals, and you get your raw data uploaded and processed. And I'm going to remind you, don't freak out. I know it looks like a hot mess of technical data, and you're likely going to see some bad news pop up right away, like this little gem on coronary artery disease for me personally. Note too that you're going to see that kind of stuff probably because they assign bad things a higher magnitude level. So just take a deep breath and know that you're going to filter to get the most relevant and interesting stuff that's for you. And as you see too, when you first get in, you're going to have a boatload of associations showing up. As you can see here, there are 19,139 rows on mine, and that's a lot of information. It would take me a long time to go through all 19,000. I mean, if you have that kind of time on hand, go for it. But if you, like me, are time crunching, you want to find the most relevant and interesting info, you're going to filter. Now, you're going to see too, you can sort by topics, and there's going to be all sorts of different ones. You can scroll down if you're just interested in a certain topic, like eye color. You can see the bits of information that's related to that topic by going that way. You can also do it by medicines, medical conditions, ClinVar diseases, your gene. And as you'll see too, when you upload your information, you'll have the option to pick a race that you're in. You don't have to pick, but if you do, you're going to be able to learn how frequent your gene variation is within your pool of those in that same race. Mine is Caucasians from Northern and Western Europe. And if you look on the frequency tab for different pieces of information, you'll see a percentage. And that means that that particular variant is present in just 20% of people in that race. If you're interested in one specific thing already, you can go in that search tab and type it in. And as you'll see, you can choose to show information on SNPs, genosets, or both. SNPs are single nucleotide polymorphisms, and genosets, well, rather than bore or confuse you with all the details, I just say to have both selected when you are filtering. Repute is, just like you'd imagine, the reputation of the association, whether it be good, bad, or not set. I will say too that just because something the repute is not set doesn't necessarily mean that it's not good or not bad. It could be that someone just hasn't assigned a certain repute to that particular piece of information that you're looking at. All of the pieces of information that you see are compiled in SNPedia, which is kind of like the Wikipedia of DNA information. And it's heavily reliant on users going in and putting information in. So just because something is not set doesn't mean that it's not good or bad. It could be it just hasn't been set yet. I'm going to go ahead and keep all checked, but if you just want to see the good, or if you're a pessimist and you just want to see the bad, you can limit it that way. Magnitude is a really good indicator of just how interesting the information is likely to be. And note that this is subjective. This is again based on people who have assigned certain magnitudes to it when they're going through data. When you hover over it, you'll see it'll say 0 is boring, 1 is unset, or 2+ is interesting. So in order to filter down my results to be a more manageable level to review, I'm going to go ahead and set mine to 2. This way, I'm going to weed out the stuff that's not likely to be that important in the grand scheme of things. And note too that even though the scale that you can set to filter goes up to 4, you could find some things that are listed all the way up to 10. Like, let's say, the BRCA1 associated with breast cancer. That's a 10. Denise Strash, Fraser, Raine syndromes are all 9s, as are early onset Alzheimer's disease risk. References are going to indicate how well researched certain findings are. I wouldn't go less than 2 for credibility purposes. But for mine, because I'd like to see things that are more credible, I'm going to set it at 12. You can set it again at whatever number you like. If you want it to be really credible, you can go higher. If you want to see more things, you can go, lower. It's all up to you. And if you wanted to see only items where the SNP or the genoset variation is rare for your ethnicity type, you could also filter by frequency. The lower the number, the rarer the variation is going to be. For this demo, I'm not going to filter by frequency or require a certain level, but if you wanted to, again, that's up to you. Now, the UI is your user interface, and it defaults to the tooltips. If you're someone who wants to go in and get really geeky and contribute to SNPedia, you could choose the editor mode where you'd be able to edit certain things and, make certain classifications. I'm going to leave it as tooltips. And so in moving that magnitude to 2 and the references to 12, you'll see that those 19,000 results that I had in the beginning got reduced to a far more manageable 104. Now, if you'd like to see all that's come up after you filtered, you can hit that 2 times more button until you got up to the total. Okay, so once you're filtered and you're ready to review, note that the boxes that you see come up that are outlined in red are those that have been classified as having a bad repute, a bad reputation. The green ones are ones with a good repute, and gray are ones that haven't been set. You'll also notice highlighting in the frequency. There's always a color. And the darker the red, the rarer the variation is for your particular ethnicity. Now, too, as I said at the beginning, it's going to sort firstly based on magnitude. So the higher magnitude stuff is going to be at the top of that list after filtering, and it'll go down to lower as you scroll down. And because usually our interest level is peaked by, bad things more so than good, I think the bad stuff are going to have like a higher magnitude. So you're going to be greeted with some bad news once you get in, and that's okay. Again, it doesn't mean it's a diagnosis. It doesn't mean that you're actually going to get, like here, the top one for me is the coronary artery disease. So don't freak out, and if you're concerned about certain things, talk to your doctor. Make good lifestyle choices. And as you'll see with most entries at the bottom, you can even click on, different topics that come up if you want to learn more. The medicines, there's also a medical conditions category, medicines, or a clin bar to learn more about a particular topic. Or if you want to keep it to learning more about the particular study that they're referencing, you can click on that RS link at the top to learn more. It'll take you to the SNPedia version of it where it has like a abstract of what the study is, and they'll also have public med IDs where you can possibly see abstracts, or you can see, if you see the OA designation, you can see the full article online if it's something that you want to learn more about. I want to warn you too that if you are starting to dig and clicking on the different tabs to learn a little bit more, you're going to have to reset to get back to the filtered results after you go back to Promethease. That can be a frustrating part of using the system, but I wanted you to know, just in case you wanted to click around, that when you go back, if you want to get it back to that filtered results, you're going to have to go through and filter all over again. I wanted to note too, like as you can see with this about intermediate metabolizers, the most potentially useful information I think you can get from Promethease is that relates to medicines. It's really useful to know how certain medications can impact you, whether it be the metabolization rate, benefits, the odds of you responding to certain drug treatments. You can find that out by going through your results. It's really good to go through these, find credible studies, and, if you're concerned about certain things, share them with your doctor. And you'll sometimes see in these abstracts of certain studies that there are ways to minimize your risk for certain things that come up. Like here for age-related macular degeneration, it notes that I could eat a diet richer in vitamin C and E, lutein, zeaxanthin, and the minerals zinc and copper to reduce the risk. You can also learn not physical related, but like mental and attitude. This was a study on optimism and empathy. So again, it ain't all about panic mode and scary diseases. You can find other little interesting tidbits of information, including this gem that caffeine will not make your breasts smaller. Learning is fun. And that's it for my Promethease overview. I hope you found it tremendously helpful. I know it can be really intimidating getting on the system, but once you know what everything means and how to filter to get the most relevant and interesting information, it can be a really cool tool. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at coachpetrina@yahoo.com. If you like, you can check out my crazy, sexy, cool website over at petrinahamfitness.com. If you, like me, are feeling the impact of Jonah, stay safe, keep warm, and have a great weekend. Bye, guys.